So as you know, I'm following this truckers boycott of New York City very closely, and especially today I have really massive update for you with a lot of interesting statistics, so let's just jump right into it. So now it looks like this situation is actually getting crazier, and more truck drivers actually refuse the delivery to New York City, especially the independent truck drivers. And even though this boycott started because a lot of people thought that Donald Trump wasn't treated properly, so the point of the boycott was for the support of Trump, but now this boycott is not just about Trump, but something totally different. I think a lot of people feel that the business law that was not implemented for 75 years is basically utilized for the first time against the political opponent. And if you actually think about it, since this law was not used for 75 years, it kind of seems like targeted court ruling, and that's how people feel. Now the reason this might impact the truck drivers and not only the real estate investors is because imagine this situation, for example. Let's say a truck driver applies in the bank for the truck loan. Before, the average new tractor for the tractor trailer was about $110,000. That's the time I was a driver at least. And the driver fills up the application. The bank asks him how much basically income you're gonna make this year or projected income for next year. And the driver says his gross income should be about $200,000, right? Now imagine if that bank starts to investigate this driver, or better yet, prosecutor's office, and they determine that he overestimated his business and therefore lied in the application automatically, and they start the process charging him with the fraud and possibly repossessing his account, his truck of course, and maybe even his house. I don't think the party you're affiliated with should make any difference in this, because whether you are a Democrat, Republican, or even independent, that to me at least sounds extremely scary and definitely anti-business. Now speaking about repossessing the house or the assets, while I was doing some research for this video, I found this little crazy post, and apparently this account states that New York Governor Hochul warns the truck drivers. So supposedly she said in the statement, and don't mind me looking down because I'm reading, not delivering to New York is a hate crime against illegals, and because Wall Street and Federal Reserve is located in New York, the ruling on Trump set the president, hence giving her, I guess the governor, the authority to empty their bank accounts and seize their homes. Obviously they're talking about the truck drivers. I literally tried to research this for more than 2 hours. I tried to find a video of it or audio, and I cannot really confirm this is actually a legit statement. I definitely hope that the governor actually didn't say that, because that would be quite crazy and probably illegal. But do you remember this truck driver protest in Canada when the truck drivers blocked some roads, and then the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau actually blocked people's private accounts, savings, checking accounts, and I think he started to go after people's property, but that actually didn't held in court, so he had to refund all the accounts. So that's why personally I don't think that's gonna happen to the American truck drivers either. Now let's go to the fun part of the video, the statistics I mentioned. So apparently there is about 300,000 independent truckers in US, and independent meaning they not hired by some company like Schneider, JB Hunt, Werner, and etc. They pretty much work for themselves and obviously get the loads from the brokers. Now, and this is actually the crazy part, because about 20% of them is actually boycotting New York City, and within this 20% you have some hardcore boycotters, meaning they will not go to New York City no matter how much money you pay them. And there is also some other drivers who are kind of light boycotting the New York, meaning they're not gonna drive to New York City either unless they get better pay for that trip. Few days ago the Greg Fuller was on the TV, and he's a founder and CEO of Freightways, which is a data reporting agency for global freight, and he was basically saying that he doesn't think much about this boycott or protest, and that he thinks that nothing major will happen. But the actual interesting part of this interview was that he mentioned that 80% of all truck drivers in US are Trump supporters. So just imagine if only 10% of these truck drivers will refuse the deliveries to New York City. Oh boy, are we in major trouble. Now I've gotta say this, so far I don't see any price increases in the stores. I live in Queens, New York, about 5 miles from New York City. Store shelves are full too, at least for now of course, but I think if this boycott will actually continue for a while, and that's without even increasing in numbers, then the New York City will start to feel more impact, and the situation will probably get worse the longer time this truck drivers boycott goes on. So okay, this is it for this video, but make sure to check this video next. There is some good info in it too. Thank you for watching.